So I wanted to start off with some big three stuff. Then I'm gonna circle over to some of the movies and some of the other stuff because I mean you're an icon. It's an honor to talk to a legend in the game. So
Appreciate
I
appreciate
Friday is to this day one of my favorite movies. I'll never forget watching that for the first time. My step grandma showed me that movie. So it's you had an impact on. I'm 28, so you had an impact on generations, man. So I just appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Movies is timeless in a lot of ways because it represents a lot of us, a lot of our everybody got a crazy friend, silly neighbors, you know what I mean? So it was nice film for the time for sure.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. So I want to start off with some of the big three stuff. So I was actually had the pleasure of going to the first season. What 7 years ago back in I think it was summer 2017. I
Yeah.
attended the one at the Barclays Center. Actually, I was just starting my journalism career. We got to go there. It was funny enough. You actually went in the media room. You actually sat like right across from me. It was a real one of those real things. That's like, okay, try not to act like Ice Cube's not like right there, right? So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask because I know this is the last year of it being like a rotating model, and it's going to be like a city. Like you just sold it, one of the second team, I guess, here in Miami. So I wanted to ask, why switch the model to the city model? And what advantages does that bring to the big three?
Well, we've been using these 8 years now to calibrate the league, to really fine tune it, to see what works, what don't work, um, and just to make sure that the product on the court was desirable for the audience. And so now this is the next step. We knew in success this is where we want to be. Uh, selling, teams because we want to expand. We have 12 teams now. We want to go to 16, hopefully one day 20, and keep expanding. And that would be hard to do under this model where the teams are centrally owned and basically the league, runs all the teams. So, um, connecting teams with cities, we believe will unlock a great fan base, uh, loyal fans who probably follow their team the whole summer from city to city in some ways. So it's going to be a great, um, to me, uptick for the league once we get all these teams sold to great owners in amazing cities and like I said, unlock that fan base.
No, no, okay. I definitely understand it. Definitely understand it. I said earlier, obviously LA is the first team sold. It makes sense. Obviously, that's your city. Why was Miami, second or just in general, why bring a team to Miami?
Oh man, Miami's a beautiful city. It's amazing. It's a destination for a lot of people. A lot of people dream to come to Miami. It's a town that if you win in, they really really get behind you. And we got a great owner in Heath Freeman. Um, he's a guy who cut his teeth in real estate out there, and he's the chairman of the AVP. He got you know uh, a team in the PBR. Uh, so he's the guy that's in the sports, um, and a visionary. So this is exactly what the doctor ordered. We want people who could take this league to new heights, and really, propel us with their passion and their connections and their hunger to bring a championship to Miami. So we believe we got the right guys in Los Angeles, and now we got the right guys in Miami, and we're starting off great when it comes to owners and owner groups.
So I know one of the big advantages, I was listening to the OG's podcast a little bit earlier. One of the big advantages you talked about that your league has, obviously, it's very players driven, right? The players get to, choose the teams. Is that going to change with there now being owners? Or the players still going to have that amount of power? Kind of talk, if you could, shed some light on that.
Well, each owner is going to take the reins on their team in some way, shape, or form. Um, you don't own the team unless you run it. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to really own the team unless you run it. So, um, some owners would choose to keep that in place. Some owners may choose to, uh, pick players that they believe they can win with. Um, so, some things may change in the league. Each team will be ran in a way that they feel that they can win, and so it's all predicated on winning. If you win, you really um, can make a nice lion's share of the revenue. So it's all predicated on winning. So teams will do whatever they believe they need to do to win. It's a model that we started because we felt like players, especially players who've been around doing their thing, know who they can win with. They play with guys, they know guys' game. They've often been, put with guys that they couldn't win with because they didn't mesh. And now, guys are picking people that they mesh with, their games complement each other. And so we felt like players had a right in some ways to pick who they play with.
No, that's real. That's real. Anything you can give me about the other teams, other cities that the teams will be in? If you have anything, any news you want to break on that front?
We have some great groups that we're talking to in Dallas, in Toronto, New York, London.
Wow.
But we're talking to some great people, and we'll see if they ultimately want to be part of the Big 3 family.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I know one of at least maybe not one of the initial goals, but one of the most beautiful things that I've seen come out of the Big 3 is, some guys getting that shot back in the league. I know ISO Joe was one of those players that, kind of dominated at the Big 3 level and got a shot at the league. With the Olympics now having 3-on-3, is that kind of an additional goal? Would that be cool to kind of have one of your guys who excels at your level kind of get put in the Olympics to be on a 3-on-3 team?
They really need to use a lot of our guys if they want a gold medal.
Yeah.
Uh, it's been embarrassing that we didn't win a gold medal and then didn't qualify. So we got the best in the world at this style of play. And so, if they know what's good for them, they would really ask to use our athletes. But, to each his own. Honestly, we feel like it's two different styles of play. They have the amateur version of 3-on-3, and we got Fireball 3, which is the professional version. So, what they're doing and what we're doing is a little, apples and pineapples, I guess. But at the end of the day, um, you know, we wish our team luck to win the gold. We wish the U.S. Olympic Committee, U.S. basketball, would smarten up and look at our athletes too, because we believe we have the best in the world.
No, definitely, 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 definitely. So one of the things I actually didn't realize about one of the origins of the league, that I learned from the OG's podcast was the fact that Kobe's last game, that 60-point game, was one of the I guess catalysts for you to be like, like if this, if he got that much still left in the tank, I wonder if we could build a league around that. I just wanted to that end. Did you, God rest Kobe. So was there any conversation that you had about him possibly coming to play in the big three?
Yeah, I asked him every time I saw him. Uh, I told him when we were starting it, that, I asked him, was it a good idea? And he looked at me and he was like, yeah, it's a good idea. So, he kind of gave me that blessing. Um, far as him playing, when he scored those 60 points, what I was upset about is that I couldn't pay to see him play no more.
Yeah,
Um, I had paid to see him play for 20 years
of course.
and then over. And it was nowhere in the world I could see him play again. So that made me dream of a league where if guys wanted to keep going and wanted to continue, especially a guy that can score 60 points, um, we got a place for him. Obviously, there's a lot left in the tank. He probably just couldn't do it for 82 games and back-to-backs and 3 games and 4 nights and all that kind of crazy stuff that the NBA does. But once a week to 50, we felt like guys could get enough recovery time to be fresh
Mhm.
every game to give it they all. Because it's a sprint. First to 50 is a sprint. So, you
Definitely,
know, you you want to rest them up if they got a sprint. You know what I mean? Yeah.
definitely, definitely. So kind of switching gears a little bit. We talked a little bit about film. We talked a little bit about sports. Obviously, music was the first love. I wanted one of the biggest questions I had coming into this interview is like where do you think your impact has been greatest? And why? Either sports, music, film. Obviously, congratulations. I forgot to mention this earlier. I know you got the Ice Cube Impact Award. Now, you got the Naismith Hall of Fame. So, like, obviously, like you've been doing huge things in each area. Where do you think your impact has been the greatest, and why?
I mean, I would have to say music.
Mhm.
Uh, Unknown to us with NWA, we changed the trajectory of music. So when you change the trajectory of a genre, like something as big as music, then that's an impact that you really can't measure because it reverberates through different generations. Like I said, we didn't know we was gonna do that. We thought we had our style and the world would continue to do all the different styles that they had, at the time, from Daisy Age, you know what I mean, to, B-boy, rhyming to, comedy raps. It was like all these different styles. Dudes was dance, it was dance groups, fun, rap. We thought it was all gonna stay that, everybody stay in their lane. But then everything started to kind of follow our lead and go hard. And it just got harder and harder and harder and harder, until it got comical. Yeah, no, to, So, um, yeah, that's the impact that, movies, I think I've made a dent
Mhm.
in the culture for real, as a filmmaker. I'm proud to be, a comedy writer. I write comedies that make comedians laugh, so that's funny, that's cool to know that you can make your favorite people laugh. So now in sports, we're doing something that's, larger than life. And but it still goes back, like most impact gotta be music.
No, that's real. That's real. Speaking of music, I know that you have that with Miami and the How Can You Be Down? Like I'm sure that you came down multiple times. Actually, this I'm working with this photographer who sent me actually this picture of you from back in the day. I don't know if you can see it from How
Yeah.
Can You Be Down. What do you remember about that festival? What do you remember about those times coming to Miami for How Can I Be Down?
Man, a lot of information going around. Um, it was all kind of great um, seminars and stuff like that. Back in the day. So, just being able to mingle and hang out with other people in the industry and network. Um, it was always an amazing way to do that. And so I cherish that because, Miami has its own sound. It had its own superstars. And, to get love, in this town, um, you feel like a guest, you know what I'm saying? Like you've been invited to an exclusive party and you gotta come with it. They ain't gonna just give it up for you just because you're famous. You gotta, have something that they dig. And I've always respected performing in Florida because you have to make sure you put a show together that really entertain the fans because they might not know your core stuff. You know what I'm saying? You're on the West Coast, but you want to make sure you give them a good time. I just know they want a good time.
No, definitely. So I'd be remiss, the hip hop fan in me would be remiss if I didn't ask you about the Drake Kendrick beef. I've already seen a few of your clips, so I'm gonna try to guide around some of that. My main question for you is, this was relatively like kind of new in terms of like the 21st century beef, right? Like it was fast, it was quick. There was a lot of punchy jabs that like kind of came across rather quickly. Like within like 20 minutes, two different songs were dropped, right? Obviously, you have an amazing disc record yourself, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, in No Vaseline. How do you think you would fare in a beef where like there's now this clock on you? Like I know that you didn't necessarily have that back in your day. Would you do you think you'd still fare well with that, having that clock, and that it's a different? I feel like it's a different level of pressure nowadays. Or am I mistaken a little bit?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's if you're gonna diss somebody, I guess you really got to be cocked and loaded.
Mhm.
Just coming out with one song is not the move no more. You gotta put a switch on that thing. You know what I mean? You gotta have multiple pieces ready to go. And it's a new game. And hey, it's always been hardball. It's always been a contact sport, lyrically. I ain't talking about any violence, but it's rough and tumble.
Mhm.
So you got to be ready for whatever. And it's been a shot in the arm for hip hop,
Definitely.
especially real hip hop that we all are trying to get back to. You know, hip hop has always been experimental, so you're always gonna have those tracks in those eras that push the boundaries, but at the core is it's rocking a beat.
Mhm.
And if you rock the beat, you usually got you got an advantage. You put the lyrics with it. Um, you got more of an advantage. You create an anthem, and that's the holy grail.
No, definitely. And what was it like for you, being from the West? Kind of, I think Elliot Wilson called the pop out, a moment in hip hop history. It changed hip hop history. Is that something? Do you agree? Being from the West, seeing everybody on that stage united. What was it like for you to be able to see that? And then second part is that you also mentioned, I think on the I forget the name of the podcast. Oh, I think the big podcast with Shaq. You mentioned that you don't believe it's over, and so I wanted to ask, why do you not believe it's over? Because I feel like the pop out, I guess for many fans, the pop out scene like this victory lap, so to speak. But you said that it's not over yet. So I wanted to ask, is that something you still believe in, and if so, why?
Going back to the first question, it reminded me of the peace treaty in 1992,
Hmm.
uh, when all the gangs after the riots in '92 got together and declared peace and tried to bury the hatchet, on a lot of different things that went on up until then. And it reminded me of that moment, but just an updated version, with lights and and more of a concert atmosphere. These peace treaty uh, get-togethers were in parks, so it was an outside thing. So it was dope. And the reason I don't think it's over because I think Drake, is an artist that has the capabilities to come back. So I just think you always, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So I advise Kendrick to stay ready. You just never know.
Okay. Well, I appreciate. I think
Oh,
just
wait, Isaiah. We're about to close out, but we need to talk about his new album coming up.
cool. I was gonna ask if I could ask that one last question. Yeah, I just wanted to ask. Lastly, what can fans expect from this new album? I know you dropped you had the collaboration with Snoop and E40. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, how is
it's,
it?
it's gonna be different than that. It's quintessential Ice Cube. You know, I realize, as you grow as an artist, you wanna experiment, do a lot of different things. Um, but your fans want you to sound like you. They want you to do you. They want you to really be what they understand you to be. And so, I wanted to do records that were Ice Cube records, that, you know, sometimes we talking street knowledge, sometimes we just having fun, sometimes we just busting raps. And so it's like I said, if you're an Ice Cube fan, you're gonna love it because it's everything it should be as an Ice Cube record. It's called Man Down, and I think it's full of jewels and full of good shit in there if you just dig in.
Any exciting features that fans would love to know about?
Me and Corrupt, me and Exhibit, this is our first time doing a record together, me and Exhibit. So it's pretty cool. You know, me and my homie JD from the Lynch Mob, who did, over 25 years in prison for murder he didn't commit. Thank God he made it home. And we got a track together. And so, not a lot, but enough to me to keep it dope. Plus, I got, of course, my Westmore on there, Snoop, E40, and Too Short. We got a song together on there. So it's a nice record. I think it's just what the doctor ordered right now.
Cool, cool. Well, definitely looking forward to it. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me. Thank you for the tickets again last night. Really enjoyed the show. Very, very dope. Always great to see legends. So I appreciate you. Tracy, thank you so much. And I'll send you a link when everything's done. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your tour for sure.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.